the city.
All right, gentlemen, have you had a chance to look at the minutes from March 28th?
Yes, I have.
2023?
What about you?
Any additions, corrections,
I'll make a
deletions?
motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Move and second to accept the minutes from March 28th. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you do that and do yours then if you want to.
Okay.
Okay, you want to? Just,
What's that?
you wanna just?
Yeah.
Have them approve that later?
Yep.
Close a while, just do these. Okay.
All right, Tony, what do you have?
First I have, and actually Ed is kind of involved with this as well. I have two copies here. SRI that does our tax sales. They have not had an increase in what they charge for 4 years. 4 years, it's going from 100 to 125 a parcel. This is the agreement for that. One will go to us, one goes back to them. Would you want me to read that? It's basically,
Ed, is that something we pay or the buyer pays?
Buyer pays.
Yeah, the buyer pays.
Day zero.
I think the buyer pays if it's purchased. If it's not purchased, we end up paying it.
yeah,
And it also gets factored into the cost of redemption. So the only instance where we wouldn't pay it is if it's a no sale. But that's fine. That makes sense.
So we need a motion on that. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries. There are signature lines for 2 commissioners on each of these.
look on the back page.
Oh, there we go. Good deal.
It's two-sided.
We haven't had any for.
Oh, next Tuesday? Okay. No, that's fine.
Yep.
And everybody, they do a really, really good job for us, though. We have a very small
What you
list.
did, I was on that phone and
tax
said it
sale.
would take care of it.
And, I'm just real happy with the service we give them.
What is ITS?
Were you seeing that?
Oh, is that?
I have no idea.
Is
Is
that
that an
just
I or
your,
an L?
is that just your title?
I've never participated in a sheriff's sale, but I poke around
I
at them a
assume
lot.
This is
And
ITS.
so as a matter of fact, I was just out on the
I would
site
say chairman.
yesterday.
Chairman or commissioner?
So,
Now, the sheriff's
Well,
sale
we said more
is
commissioners.
sheriff.
Yes.
Mortgage.
yep,
Where ours.
Yeah, I would. say
tax sale,
chairman.
but they're both available on the,
Vice
from the same
chairman,
site.
and then the other one was
Yes.
commissioner.
Yep,
Or
I see
member.
that. It's just as an aside, I was out there poking around at the site yesterday. It's pretty user friendly.
That's
So
all
we
right.
went with the company because they already have a staff.
Yeah.
So it's all.
I mean, I can see all the documents out there and see all the, I don't even know what they're called, but all the various documents that are associated with the sale and it's neither here nor there, but
Servicing.
good. From a user standpoint, it's pretty user friendly.
What happens, we get, I call them headhunters. There's companies that try to get these properties for other, outside interests and stuff, and they're always asking for a list of this or that, and I just send them to SRI services. And I said, you can get the information you're asking me, but you can also get them for many counties in Indiana and other states, which is what they want. So, makes it easy.
Yes, is you care of network.
Okay.
Just going by
All
what I.
right. While they're signing, we can move on and see what you got next.
Next, we have the Allied weekly health insurance claims in the amount of $14,779.14. Always turn that. That is all medical, no stop loss or anything. All medical, 14,779.14. You can't sign that one. I didn't stamp it, forgot to stamp it.
Did you want to look at that before we take a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right. Motion carried.
All right. Next, we have the payroll AP claim, which is the benefits and so forth and so on. And the amount on that is $479,919.94. $479,919.94.
I don't know why that sounds high.
Does sound high, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Well-
3 payrolls,
Extra payroll, I believe.
payroll, I think was the answer to that.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'd asked that question to myself too, and I thought, oh. Payrolls. Second.
Motion carries.
So let's just be for the policy. Because there's no names listed on this workers' comp thing, so it probably is just the policy payment, presume. Am I good to go?
Yep.
We have the Eastern Alliance Workers' Comp policy payment. And that is in the amount of $3,821, $38.21.
Okay. Workers' comp. Okay, I'll take a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
Motion carries.
That is all that I have.
All right, thank you, Tony. All right, Brad?
Good morning.
3 against 1 today.
What's that?
3 against 1.
That's all right. I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Just a few things today. The first one is one permit from I&M on County Road 150 West between 800 South and 850 South. They're replacing one pole. Went and looked at it and, yeah, it'll be fine.
Same spot?
Yep.
Motion
approved.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
What township is that in?
Hartford. I'm thinking right.
When do you not think right?
A lot of the time. So real quick, while you guys are looking at that,
Excuse me.
we have started taking dust control applications, so people can come in and apply to get it again. You know, our minimum is 100 feet. And I just saw this something, I think it was, I'm not even gonna say the price because I don't remember now. I think it was $279 a foot, but I forgot to write that down. So that has started, and we will take them until May 12th, which coincides kind of with buggy plates. You know, when we're done with buggy plates, we'll be done taking them, and then we can get our oil ordered and get out and do that. And then we put out we're advertising for pickup truck bids. So we have them, we asked them to have them turned in by the 24th, so we could have them meeting at the 25th and open them. Then we'll do our normal, take them under advisement for a week and. award them May
24th of
2nd.
April?
24th of April.
Okay.
And things are greening up, grass is growing, getting all the mowing stuff ready to go. So,
Good deal. Well, you're ahead of me. I still got the snow blower on.
yeah, and also a bit of information, next week we plan on getting out on the stone roads and doing our normal spring. We're gonna haul a bunch of stone. We've been grading up to this point, but not putting much stone down, but now we'll start laying it down next week, so.
Good deal. So we're in good shape equipment wise as far as tractors and mowers?
Yeah, when the mechanics and the driver was going through one, there's one that's really showing its age, so Paul's been working on getting that stuff around and maybe get a new mower see if this year yet, yeah, or at least put it out to bid.
Well,
So,
good.
yeah. Yeah,
So are you gonna have a lot of trimming to do as far as along the side of the road?
he's been We did a lot of that last fall. So after the ditching wheel where we clean out the side ditches comes off, he starts that. So no, he did a lot of that last fall. He was actually out for a couple weeks now. Things are looking good as of now. We'll see when they start growing again. But no, things are looking good right now. He's done a good job.
Good.
Yep.
All right.
So,
Thank you much.
thank you.
Rick?
Mark has it up in the office now. The Gold Meadows. Trevor came and got a copy. Yeah, they don't, they're not gonna, it's not gonna be recorded, but they can approve it, okay.
Over the weekend, the power was out. And obviously, the courthouse, the heat was off yesterday. So we had to, myself and Judd Meyer spent about an entire day over there trying to get it functioning again. So it is back up and running. Just, I don't know, but
At
it's,
least the temperature outside was pretty moderate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Still cold. The projects that I've discussed last week, such as the power room, it's still going on. We were waiting on quotes back for the generator. We haven't gotten them back. Might have one more vendor come in, one more contractor come in and look.
As far as installing it.
Yeah, it's been, I think that'll be our fourth one or fifth one that we've had in. So that's still going on. The project BTS with our boilers, it's complete. I just haven't gotten anything from the state yet, that whole process. So I think we're compliant with everything now.
Do they have to come back in and re-inspect?
I won't know that until I just talked to the state this morning. They just haven't done the paperwork yet, but I asked that. So the insurance guy may come back to check it.
Oh,
I just have to get online and get our permits back and.
okay.
Tony Morse, so maybe if you could put this out there, heavy trash is next week. Our trash gets picked up on Tuesdays.
So the 11th,
Yes, probably the best way to, if anybody has anything to dispose of, Monday afternoon. Usually it's
Out here?
gone, yeah, out here along the sidewalk. It's usually gone by the next day. So if anybody has anything they want to get rid of. And our trash goes, it's all week long, but ours goes Tuesday. Looks like we might get some severe weather again tomorrow, so. Other than that, I think that's about all I have.
So when the power went out, did our current generator operate as intended?
Yep.
And then the UPSs worked for the server room?
Yeah, I got a phone call late Friday when that happened because Holly came in to check her vaccinations. So they were all functioning. But it ran, I don't know what, 3 or 4 hours, I think. Yeah.
Because she's got one UPS for her refrigerators, right?
Yes,
And then we've got a UPS just for the demarc and the server room,
that's correct.
so.
And those are, to enlighten people about, that's really for the startup mode to help it.
Hmm.
And then if the generator wouldn't run, those would be active for, I think the hour frame is 4 to 5 hours, but it's probably longer than that because that would be full capacity.
Okay,
Yeah, they worked.
good.
Shelley Bright had notified me that she wanted to kind of set in my time frame. I don't know if she's here yet. Usually I'm not up till about 10:30, so I guess I want to reserve the right to come back up with her when she gets here.
As long as you don't cause too much trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because, yeah, you are about 15 minutes early from the schedule, so, yep, that's fine.
That's all that you guys have.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Rick. All right, Ed?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
After a few weeks of preparation time, it's time for taxes. And I want to let you know that the tax bills, we are all set to go. Tax bills will be mailed out this Friday, April the 7th. They'll be delivered either Saturday, the 8th, or Monday, the 10th. And that gets them to all the taxpayers a full month before they're due, then on May the 10th. So we're in really good shape, real good shape. After last year, we had a lot of changes and, we were juggling a lot of balls, getting it ready. This year's gone a lot smoother. So I'm happy about that. I had a press release I gave to the press last week on all of this and all the different changes we made for better convenience and stuff. Both newspapers and the radio did a really nice job getting that information out. It's good to hear the feedback from taxpayers when you talk to them, so they're all ready to go. Our interest rates, we have 11 different accounts separated amongst 5 different banks. And out of those, I have 10 of the 11 accounts are up in interest from last month. The 11th one, I talked to just this morning, and they will be up by the end of today. So that's a good thing. Things are moving our way, and they're still not back to the heydays of interest, but they're a whole lot better than they were just 6 months ago or a year or two ago.
Most of them over 4%?
No,
No?
no. One is, that's our Trust Indiana. The other one's close to 3, a little bit over 3 on a couple of them, but that's where we're at. And, okay, there is a long lost committee that we've come across that we need to resurrect. And we found that out. Tony talked about the audit that we're getting, his office, my office, and it's called the Internal Controls Committee. And it's supposed to be happening all along. I honestly did not know anything about this committee. Tony told me about it, and that I'm on this committee, and basically I chair the committee. But it has not been in operation from any records I can see since 2018. So we're kind of all at fault on this, but I am resurrecting it. Commissioners have a representative, council has a representative. There's 2 at-large people from the public and then myself. So we're putting it together. I hope to have everything done here by the end of the week and have a meeting finished by the time that State Board of Accounts gets here. So they know that we are back in business with it. And it's basically all the different offices that handle money, how they handle it through the treasurer's office, and how the treasurer's office reconciles with the auditor's office. Just making sure we have all the checks and double checks.
I mean, we already have internal controls within the county. This is an extra internal control with finances. Just another check and balances, like Ed said. Yeah, I'm not sure what all happened with that, but
Well, the Internal Controls Committee is established by statute, and it's set up, I think, in your ordinance that adopted internal controls, but the committee's
Yeah.
never had any reason to meet because we haven't had any variances. But when you have variances, then you need to have a meeting. And plus, the Internal Controls Committee could have regular meetings, probably should have regular meetings, and then make recommendations to the commissioners for changes in the way finances are recorded, handled, et cetera, especially cash. So
Back in
it's a
the
good idea.
days, 2018, it said stay back quarterly. And that's what I want to do here, at least for the beginning, is to kind of get back in shape. But it's a good checks and double checks, not only within us, but with some of the outside concerns that will take a look and they just realize that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're doing it.
they may or may not ask, they may or may not ask for any of this, but it's a good idea that if they do, we've had a meeting, we We are
So
doing the internal control.
I guess from what you've said, and from what you've said, do we have two internal controls committees?
There's one for the finance.
Because
I
you said
don't
there's
know
one
that
for
we
the
have-
finance and you said we have another one?
I think the one that Mark is talking about is one we're talking about, because when we got all the information sent to us by the State Board of Accounts, they had the former names of who was on that committee. It's a member of two different banks as a council and commissioner appointment. There was the treasurer, which was Tom at the time. And help me out, who else?
We had Janelle Yoder, who is now Janelle Smith, was on there. Dean Filling from First Merchants Bank. And now we're going to have a council representative, which will be Rex Moore, and a commissioner's representative, Steve Bailey, both with banking backgrounds.
Well, everybody in the county has to sign off that they have watched the internal controls video. Shannon, when new employees come in, they watch that, they sign off on it. For those of you that remember back in the day, I think it was 2016 or 8, whenever they required this, as council members and everything else, we all had to find a time to come in and watch this internal controls video and sign off on it. And we still have all those signatures. We have all, I think the only official committee is the one that Ed is describing here.
But Stan, you are correct. I'll be doing the financial part of it, all the departments that turn money in through the treasurer's office. But each department, whether they take money or not, they also have their own internal controls, kind of checks, double checks, making sure that everything gets done accordingly in their specific office. And it don't matter what office, whether they handle money or not, they have their own internal controls. Yeah. And it could be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. But when you're dealing with the money, it's more complicated. And we just,
Well, we've been audited since 2018, haven't we?
they've never asked for it.
So
And
the
that-
last
that was
audit,
Audited every year.
That was my question, if we get audited and they've never asked for it. you know.
that's what I said, they may or may not ask for it, but you have different people that come every time you have an audit, and every time those different people ask for different things. You just don't know what they're going to ask for. So our charge in the auditor's office is to make sure that we go by the book on everything.
Yep.
So regardless of what they ask for, we have everything was approved properly and all of this. And this is another one of those things. They did not ask us about this when they audited for 19 and 20 was the last time they came. This new one now is going to be 21 and 22 plus a federal audit. So
I just wanted to make you aware that I'm aware now, and I've got a big head start on it already.
Good, thank you.
And it'll be in good shape.
Very
I
good.
don't suspect that we'll have any major thing to report, because I think we're all doing a good job with all this that we'll be looking at. But it's just that we'll look at it office by office by office, and then I'll have the outside interests that we have on the committee. They will be overseeing us as well. So then I'll report back to you.
Very good.
Okay, the Golden Meadows land auction, I'm sure you're gonna be talking about that a little bit, but once again, it'll be Thursday, April the 13th, 6 o'clock, 6 PM at the Adams County 4-H building. I'm gonna guess all three of you will be there to watch that. I will not be there. I wanted to be, but I'll be down in Indianapolis. I have a SRI tax sales seminar, and Angie Bride from the auditor's office and I are going down there, so. Get her sold.
Well, we certainly appreciate all your work on that.
I was
Yes,
glad to be able to,
I know
do some
you were the
preliminary.
point man to get the whole thing.
thank you. So we'll get her sold, and then we'll take the money and make some money on it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for me? Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ed.
All right. I don't know if that's good, everybody getting their tax bills on Easter weekend or not. They can say he is risen and they have risen.
If all that happens, then none of us will worry about it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Rick, did you and Shelley want to come back up? Technically, she's 4 minutes early, so.
What did you say?
Technically, you're 4 minutes early, but, yeah. So,
It's probably been over a month or so ago. Shelley and I had came to you. She was wanting to do some things to her office on the countertops, raise the walls up. Kind of back, I guess, to discuss that again.
Yes, to get your approval, since everything I presented the last time is pretty much what it is. So with getting with our incentive funds, it's only within the month that we actually get that bill would be what we could be able to apply towards that bill. So say if the percentage is a certain amount, and I guesstimate maybe $1,000 would be off that bill to use incentive funds to cover that. And then the remaining balance would be out of the fund that we had discussed in the change committee.
11:38.
I can never remember that fund. 1138. So here I'm back to saying that the auditor did their research, found that was the same thing. And that's pretty much where we're at.
So we had approved it at that time, is that, as far as the work,
I think it was tabled, I believe.
or it's tabled,
I think
okay.
it was tabled until we
All right.
found out everything was fine with the 4D and all that stuff.
Okay. So,
How much is the quote being shot?
Sure. The estimate was $6,541.24.
So we would be taking about $5,000-ish out of that, out of 1138.
But again, I don't know exactly what the incentive funds would be. I'm just giving kind of a guesstimate.
It could be more, it could be less.
How else are those incentive funds used? Is that a fund that just builds, or you got other?
It does, it's federal, so you have to be very careful what you can actually use it for.
Okay.
And the links, as Tony's probably seen a lot of the emails, we talked to the DCS, says that you really have to be a certain percentage of what 4D money is used, as far as how much that's covering that. So like, if it was a total amount, then it would be total amount could be covered, but it's not, since there's every other issue that we do in the clerk's office, it's not a total, so.
That is a whole separate audit on the 4D monies. Actually, my first year, I had like 4 or 5 different audits. The 4D funds are its own separate audit. It's not part of the State Board of Accounts.
Yeah. They're a little more due diligent, I think, on that stuff.
Yeah.
Standing
Something on the
figure,
counter for
looking
them.
at 38, I have, don't forget, the boiler project that we just got completed. I will be paying about $15,000 out of that. To be precise, that number's 14,619.25.
because I've got courthouse repairs and maintenance, that 34,007, is that what you're looking at?
Yep. There is some money gonna be coming out of that. There's still
How much did you say approximately is coming out then?
15,000.
Okay, because right now there's 44,863.69 in 34,007. So do we have other anticipated expenses out of that 1138 then?
And it's just one of those things you don't know, just like we didn't know about this boiler stuff.
Yeah.
If I had to, I can shuffle money around within those 3 parameters of our buildings if we need something else.
It's also possible out of 1138, it'll depend on council, if some of these ARPA requests go over what was approved, council may opt to pay some of that out of 1138 rather than ARPA. We just don't know. We don't know what they'll do. Or 1140, one of those funds.
Right now, there's money.
I would think there'd be enough for that, though.
This will be, when you do this, I mean, it's gonna be a permanent fixture that you're adding. Yeah, it's not
It's
painting
definitely.
the walls and that, it's permanent for security and,
Yes, security, confidentiality in some ways.
right. Okay. So when we look at these cum funds like 1138 and,
Rick, as we look across, I'm looking out here at Ed and Tony and whatnot, are there other offices that would benefit from this kind of work being done?
Yeah, I believe there is. I mean, for instance, I think Ed's office would be one. What comes to mind to me too is, even maybe Tony's, to be honest with you. But those two come to mind right now for sure.
Okay. I guess when we initially talked, Shelley, obviously, we were thinking, well, your 4D funds were going to pay for part of it, and we were looking at a relatively contained expenditure. But as I think about Ed, in particular, probably Ed's office, probably more so than any other office here, it's like, who else would benefit from, or we should be thinking about something like this for?
When this first came up, I asked if it was part of the overall security
Right.
package that they were looking at. I think that would still hold true as far as Ed's office, my office, anything else. Maybe the safety committee, the sheriff, if they work on an overall security thing to present at some point in the future and see what they think but I mean, I don't know.
I do kind of want to iterate for the clerk's office, and I never made a mention of it before, but there is a lot of confidential cases that do come into our office. And with having deputies clear out in the open, and they try to do the best that they can not to discuss the names of certain, cases. But with us being so proximity of that counter, they can overhear.
as far as the other deputies, yeah.
Because we do, unfortunately, I have to lay out of my cues for certain deputies. I wish I didn't have, wish I could do what the auditors did, is cut, because everybody yells over the wall and stuff like that. And as much as I stress, there are certain cases that you cannot discuss, or any cases really, to be honest with you, if a customer comes in. So this is also a protection of that information as well. That's what I'm trying to do too. So that's my idea for the wall to begin with, as well as security for the staff.
So will you have any of the incentive money available, or are you intending to take it all out of 1138?
But we're hoping, as she discussed, that just from what I'm understanding is that particular month, or however that works, she won't really know how much money she has to go towards this project until,
I contact the vendor.
yeah, she contacts the vendor.
How much can I
Okay.
utilize? And they'll give me a percentage and they'll say, oh, you have that. That's why I kind of picked June too. It might be a little bit higher. Because we do studies in our office for 4Ds. And that's pretty much why we get a higher percentage as much as we work on 4D cases.
Sounds like it's fair to say it could be 1,000, it could be 500, it could be 1,200, it could be, you don't know.
Yeah. Well, from a practical standpoint, Rick, I mean, it seems to you like as far as something that's good application and a good thing to do in there from a building.
When I talk about
Manager.
overall security, I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. I'm just saying, if you want to do this piece of it and then continue to look at.
I just wish it
what
was
else
more,
we have.
part of, more of a comprehensive plan. And, that's what we kind of shot down. We talked about changing door accesses, and we kind of shot that down and said, bring us back more of a comprehensive plan, and help us understand how all this fits together.
And I don't know of anyone else that would have be able to pay a percentage with those funds.
Yeah, I don't, with them.
Prosecutor maybe,
Yeah.
but they kind of have,
Child support.
they already, I mean, child support, the ones that get the 4D monies could use that same percentage, but
Well, it seems to me like if you're gonna have money available from incentive funds to put towards this project, and it's a project that's gonna be, an improvement for security anyway, it's not like something that we're gonna have to take away once we look at the bigger picture. It's still something that we would do as part of the bigger picture, and I think as long as we know that there may be more requests similar to this coming down the road, I guess to me it makes sense to go ahead and, for the sake of privacy and security, to plan on doing this, but I don't know what either is. So,
Oh, Steve.
The wheels are turning.
I know, it's scary when the wheels are turning and he's not talking. That's when I get scared.
I don't see any smoke coming out.
What's concerning, he's thinking of something I haven't thought of yet.
Do you have plans drawn out for this, or I guess I'm trying to picture what you're trying to do.
For a wall itself on this counter. I think, see, remember when you walk in?
Right.
And it's like so open, although we have those partitions or what, we kept them up just for COVID. And we're going to continue to keep that as a little more of a separation. The wall will just be on that counter right around, and it won't be all the way to the seat.
Okay.
So there is a camera that is like in the middle, hangs down, and it kind of views. So it will not even hit that camera. So there is still enough, but it also.
So it's still going to be open at the top.
But it's not enough, it's going to be high enough, I should say, that yell it over, they won't be able to hear it as well. And with having our windows in certain sections, like almost like a bank teller type aspect, which that should have been anyway for a clerk's office handling money. It gives, and then there'll be a little more on a one-on-one. So when people do, like, more people come into the office, they could concentrate on that person. And then it's in individual sections instead of a little more chaotic.
I guess my concern is I see where it probably would be good for your office, but my next concern is if we open this can of worms up and then the auditor's office wants it and the treasurer's office wants it, and then
Next resolution.
where does it end? I mean,
I can't ask for them,
I understand.
but
But
for
I'm
my office,
in
I
my
know,
mind.
you're thinking ahead. The reason and this has always been for the clerk's office, it's not gonna stop as if a situation would happen. Because I'm not asking for bulletproof. There's no way, because I would have to rip up walls, and do all of that. This is more for the fact, it would save time if something would happen into our office that would come. It would give enough time for staff to do what they needed to do. But also, as I said, for privacy for caseloads.
Okay.
I really need that emphasis. As I said, I stress with my staff, you cannot discuss, yell, hey, so-and-so, cases. This also will help prevent that kind of the public hearing about that as well. Because we do have those situations.
I do think you deal with a different level of confidentiality and concern for that maybe than the other departments do, as I think through your clientele and kind of who you work with day in and day out, and the potential adversarial type of situation that you could get into there.
Yeah. Because all types come in and do make payments too.
Yeah.
So a little more of a one-on-one with the deputy and that person instead of somebody saying exactly what they're paying for.
I'm gonna call on Dan because I was gonna ask you next, but go ahead, Dan.
As far as opening the door, your comment, there's two officers. One officer, treasurer, means something to him. He is wide open with the cash, the checks, the money that he has. A 10-year-old can get over the counter and cause problems in his office. So that does need dealt with as far as security issues. I'm not sure all the others might need to because of what they deal with and stuff like that. They don't have the adversarial component as these offices do. Even the auditor's office, I'm not real sure because you can't close off their countertops because those big books they have to be able to look into and stuff. So that's a different animal in itself. But I know for a fact, and I've talked to the treasurer about it, we need to do something in his office. Because like I said, he's setting prime example for a robbery. No ifs, ands, or buts about it because they do deal in cash also.
Don't write that down.
And I know, I was just thinking.
We need it. His place is wide open, so it is something. But a lot of the other offices, I think we could argue, if they come to it, yeah, does somebody come in once a year, might have a little hothead or something? Yeah, that's once a year. These guys have potential daily coming in, causing problems because they're mad about their tax, having to pay taxes, this, that. Or with all the court cases that people are coming into, they just left the court, they have to go pay fines and fees and probationers coming in. I mean, it's the whole gamut in the clerk's office. So, and even if we do that was one question I was gonna ask. If we piecemeal these construction, we get a better price if we try and get it all bid out at the same time. I don't know if that would get a better price. You're gonna pay the same price in materials and stuff like that. I don't know. That's the only advantage I could see if we do these constructions as a group. Do we get a better price? I don't know, but those two offices need to be dealt with.
I mean, I think Dan's right with that, but it's also hard to get anybody in here to do it just because there isn't anybody when it comes to contractors. I don't know what Ken would tie himself up to do. Hey, can we have this all one package just because he does other?
Well, it sounds like Shelley's got, or you guys have got somebody lined up to take care of the clerk's office. Maybe we try that, knowing that we may end up needing to do the treasurer's office fairly soon down the road and figure out how to pay for that.
He did also do the circuit court upstairs.
Yeah, he did.
Correct. And that turned out very nice.
Yes.
It did a nice job, closing up that window. That was another wide opening and of course dealing with hotheads.
Thus far, I've kind of left him alone just because I know that we use him over there because he is busy. Not saying that he couldn't come do the treasure sometime.
Yeah.
Choose to.
I will say that mine is gonna be substantially more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be close to six figures, it just will, with all the stuff that Dan said that I really need to pay attention to. So,
That's true.
just,
I don't know that we should hold up a piece of our security plan just because we can't do it all at once. The only thing that I want to make sure is that we don't put a piece in that has to be taken out or changed later on when we have the bigger plan. So as long as this is going to be a permanent part of that comprehensive plan, I don't want to hold up a part of that plan for the sake of not having the comprehensive plan completed yet. But like I say, knowing that there's going to be other things coming down the road that, but it sounds like you've put a plan together. Rick has reviewed the plan. The sheriff has an idea of what you want to do. And it seems to be a reasonable way to add additional privacy and security.
Excuse me.
So, we've got three strong opinions that this is a good thing to do. And I guess I would be in favor of going ahead with that, and continuing our comprehensive security plan. So.
Make a motion to approve.
Second it.
Yes.
Okay,
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Good discussion. I appreciate everybody's involvement and, sometimes I go into these things and not really knowing what I'm thinking and the input from everybody here was just really helpful for me today. So thank you.
yeah. But the thought of putting something up and 6 months later having to take it down, it's like, I don't think that's the case here.
Unless you make us move.
And we know that could happen. That could happen. That's sweet.
Yeah, don't.
But I also know that if an event happens that we could have had a positive impact on the outcome and we sit here and not do anything about it, none of us will forgive ourselves. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
thanks.
All right, this will be an ongoing process.
Yeah.
I'm sure. All right, Mark Wynn, would you like to come up? Whoa, we about got you right on time.
Almost. One subdivision today. So this is on 218, just east of 350 East, south side of the road. The piece that we're talking about, so this has already been broken out. So this is Matt and Adams was here. This is Adams Swine Farm, which is this piece right here. And they are picking up
Guess it would be mine.
that. So this lot just got bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
All right.
That's what's going on.
Motion approved. Motion carries.
I'm sorry, Steve. Usually I wait on you, so I know where to sign.
You've still got one next to us on it, storing farm.
Yeah,
Hey, Brad,
I guess if it's your own, they don't smell it, right?
That's right.
That smells like money.
asked about this.
Thank you.
Yep.
To do that work on that place where we're getting rid of the road cul-de-sacs.
No.
What is this?
All right.
She doesn't count it
Did you guys want to go ahead or you want to let Shannon go ahead?
Well, they've got us along. No, that's all right.
We'll go. I don't know what Mark has.
Because it's being done on county right away.
I sent all of you yesterday a draft of the interlocal agreement that'll be related to the Council on Aging's receiving that federal grant money. It'll be between the county and the city, the exchange basically of partial funding for HVAC repair, restoration, or upgrades in consideration for conveyance of some of that land and a long-term use of the long-term exclusive use and non-exclusive use of parts of the Merit Center. After talking with Stan too, I think just an approval by the commissioners of that draft to go ahead and take to a meeting with the city then and make any final revisions to that interlocal after meeting with them and then present the final document for signature after that.
Clayton, the only question I had about it was that it references the length of time that the exclusive and non-exclusive use of the offices would exist for as being as per the document, but there's not really a time frame in there that says it's going to be for the next 10 years, it's going to be for the next year and a half, it's going to be, we realize we're giving up financial incentive in the way of participating in cost of the repairs of the HVAC system. But yes, I'm wondering if there shouldn't be some kind of and the city wouldn't expect and demand that there be a time frame in there upon which, in exchange for that money, we get use of those offices.
Again, I think what we provided to you was a draft that we want to take to the city. That's a specific like that. Also, specifics as to what portion of any HVAC repair we would be paying for.
Right.
Those are things that we would enter into the document after meeting with the city.
Good deal.
We have a final
Good
idea.
deal. And I think that's fine.
The biggest thing that I get from this, we would take ownership of that half-acre corner.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I agree with that. But if
Yeah.
I'm entering into this, I'm not gonna say you're gonna have use of those offices forever.
Right,
Because
and those are some negotiable points,
Yeah.
but I think this is a wonderful document that's gonna allow us to move ahead with this agreement so that we can move ahead with, facilities for our expanded transportation program, and so.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be looking at it from the standpoint of, we want a minimum term, and they're gonna be looking at it from, we want a maximum
Absolutely.
term. And I think we just gotta figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Again,
Very
so
good.
Not really presenting the interlocal itself today, just approval to move forward with setting up a meeting with the city and finalizing that document for
Good.
then approval.
Good deal.
Do we need a motion?
I guess I would ask for a motion to move ahead with
I'll make the motion.
negotiations
Final negotiations on.
based on this
Second.
document. yeah.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
thanks for doing that, Ken. Mark, anything?
I see that.
Yeah, sure.
So I can word this.
What was the next ordinance, Tony, for this corrected ordinance?
8.
8. This is a ordinance just to correct the rezoning ordinance that you adopted last week, which was 2023-7. In the short title of the ordinance, I don't know, Angie said that we had the wrong address in here, so we corrected the address. And nothing else in the ordinance changes, it's just a correction of the address. So this is ordinance 2023-8. In the short title, it's an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, which rezones the property at 1850 West US Highway 224, Decatur. That's the mailing address, but it's in Adams County, Indiana. And just says, whereas Adams County Board of Commissioners previously adopted ordinance 2023-7, which had an address error in the short title of the ordinance. This corrective ordinance readopts all previous provisions of said ordinance with a correction to the short title section. Everything else is the same. Just need a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-8.
So moved. Second.
Motion carried.
There's 2 of these, so I'll send it down for signature. One's on 2 pages and one front and back. So just need to approve that, and then Tony can enter that in the record. Next thing, we got this business associate agreement with USI. Shannon, this is fine. It's a standard BA agreement. So USI provides, is it dental and vision? And life. Okay, so anytime you have a contract or an agreement with an entity that has protected health information, then they, to protect themselves, they want a business associate agreement, which they're required to get. This is a standard agreement, reviewed it, so it's just a business associate agreement between USI and Adams County that just says the information that they receive from the county for your employees, that they'll keep it confidential and that they will follow the law as far as protected health information and electronic transmission, security, et cetera. It's fine. We just need a motion to approve this business associate agreement, and then I'll give it to Shannon, and then you can get it signed. And then when you get it fully signed, then get a copy to Tony. Any questions on that?
Motion approved.
All right, thank you.
So it looks like, I've got it dated here. It just needs Stan's signature, and then Shannon, you can type in Stan's information here on these lines. Just need your signature, Stan. Top line on the right-hand side. Next thing is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners. This is 2023-10. This is a resolution by the Board of Commissioners approving the terms of sale of county-owned real estate. Last week, you also adopted a resolution approving the sale itself, the date, location, subject to approval of Adams County Board of Commissioners. This spells out specific terms and conditions for sale. It looks like on the, and this is something that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're having a public auction. By definition, sale of property at an advertised public auction is the best determination of market value. So we had the Golden Meadows property was appraised several months ago. And so we have those appraisals are on file with the Adams County Auditor. I think that was announced in the commissioners meeting. But statute says you're supposed to set a minimum bid. I've talked this over with Josh. And so it's worded such that you establish a minimum bid, but what you also have to understand, the minimum bid does not mean opening bid at an auction. Opening bid at an auction is whatever it is. Opening bids at an auction are always, almost always less than what the owner is willing to accept. Sometimes you'll have buyers who will submit what they're willing to pay to the auctioneer in advance of the bid, and that's fine, but it's still up for auction. And whatever price it turns out, or whatever they offer, the highest offer happens to be, then it's up to the owner to decide whether or not to accept that offer. In a private sale, it's entirely up to that owner. In a sale of county-owned or governmental-owned property, then you're supposed to take into consideration the appraised value of that property. It doesn't say that you have to accept. It doesn't say that you can't accept anything less than the appraised value, but it says you're supposed to take that into consideration and establish, a minimum bid, at least for purposes of the day of auction. So the way we have this set out, terms of sale, it says that again, the Adams County Council and the Board of Commissioners have approved the sale of this property. It's approximately 132 acres of county-owned real estate. Located on County Road 200 East, approved to be sold by public auction, which is described by a survey on file with the Adams County Auditor. So you have the property surveyed. It's surveyed into 4 tracts, and that is on file with the Adams County Auditor. This resolution just says the Adams County Board of Commissioners hereby establish a minimum bid for said property and hereby set the terms and conditions for sale. Therefore, be it resolved that Adams County Board of Commissioners hereby approve the terms for sale of said parcels as follows. The sale is to be conducted by public auction on the 13th day of April 2023 with reserve and subject to the approval of the Adams County Board of Commissioners. Public auction will be held in 4-H Park Dining Hall located at 160 West Washington Street, Monroe, beginning at 6 p.m. Property will be offered to the highest bidder until a minimum bid of at least $15,200 per acre or more is reached on tracts 1, 2, and 3, or any combination, and $14,725 per acre or more is received on tract 4. The property may otherwise be sold subject to confirmation approval of the Adams County Board of Commissioners following a public hearing after the sale if a minimum bid is not received for a tract. Now, so what that's saying is you're establishing a minimum bid based upon the appraisals. So those minimum bids are based upon the average of the 2 appraisals for the respective tracts. But it also says in the event you don't receive a minimum bid, there again, the offering price and the opening bids are going to be whatever they are. At the end of the auction, when, they call last bids, if you don't have a minimum bid for any of the tracts based upon your minimum bid price, then the commissioners can say, we will enter a contract for the sale of this subject to approval of the Adams County Board of Commissioners following another public hearing. And then I think, then that gives you the authority. It's telling the And we'll announce this day of sale. We want everybody to understand that just because, opening bids, this minimum bid is not an opening bid. We're going to conduct the auction just like you'd conduct a regular auction. If one or all of the tracks, if the final offering prices on these tracks, whether it's individual or as a whole, exceeds this minimum bid, then again, it's subject to your approval, but my guess is you're going to say sold. And you're going to sign a contract, and then it's going to close. If any one of the tracks is not receiving, a minimum bid, then you will say, okay, we will enter a contract for the sale, subject to further confirmation, and then you can have a public hearing, and then decide at that point, are we going to let it go for less than the appraised value or not? And so when in considering the appraised value, you have to look at the date the appraisals were done. You have to look at the fact that interest rates have increased since that point in time, and there have been other sales of property that have occurred since that time that maybe justify saying, you know what? We had a public auction. It was very well advertised. I expect it to be very well attended. And then you can say that we believe that is the market value. And then you can approve the sale.
So would that be a decision we could make the night of the sale?
If it's less, if you have a tract that's less than the appraised value, then no, you can't make the decision, but you can say we'll enter a contract subject to our decision following a public hearing. It's still subject to confirmation. You just can't give final approval that evening. Now, if it's any tracts that are over that, you can say, yeah, it's sold, sign a contract. But there again, it all depends on how those bids come in. Is the highest bid a combination bid, or is the highest bid the sum of individual bids? We'll just have to see.
The highest bid, the sum of the middle track, we would do all a contract of, say, but there's 4 tracks and the one's in 3 tracks. Say the middle track brings the appraised value bid, but there are 2 tracks on the outside. You don't want to split the farm up like that, do you?
Well, that's something you're going to have to decide. It's still the wholesale subject to approval Board of Commissioners.
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't say, okay, that's sold that night. You would do an open hearing on all 3 tracks, correct?
No, you'd only have a hearing on the 2 tracks that are below the appraised value. It depends on how the bids are to come in. If it's a combination, if the combination bid's the highest, then, but it's still less than the appraised value, then I think you can have a public hearing.
I think the point Steve's making is we might not want to let one of the 3 parcels in the
Oh, I see what you're saying.
part, in the part to the, get my directions right here, to the west of County Farm Road, might not let one of those parcels go unless all 3 parcels are going to be sold.
Right.
Yeah.
Thinking that maybe one of those parcels does create value that absent the other 2 might not.
Yep.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. In that case, though, the entire sale's subject to approval.
Right.
Of the,
Okay.
yeah. So
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, you could say, no, we're not going to sell it that way.
How would Josh announce the final bids? Would he say sold?
Well, he's going to stop, once they get to the point where they think we're at the stopping point, we're not getting any more bids, then they pause the auction and have a conference with the commissioners. And depending on what the bids are, then you guys make the final decision on what sells and what doesn't. And I'll be there,
So
so.
we'll still have to have a hearing.
We would have to have a hearing if we didn't want to sell.
Or if it's under the.
You only have a public hearing in the event that the minimum bids are going to be less than the appraised value.
Right.
If it's over the appraised value, then it's your call.
Now, if the single parcel to the east brings the appraised value, but the 3 parcels to the west do not, we could go ahead and sell the single parcel to
Correct.
the east
Mhm.
and not sell the 3 parcels to
And
the
then have a
west.
hearing on
And then have a hearing on the 3 parcels to the west.
Yeah.
Yes.
So but if one of the 3 to the west brings more than the appraised value, and the other 2 bring less, we can have a hearing on all 3 if we want to, because we might not want to sell the 1 parcel out of the 3.
You could.
That's what my question was.
And I think I would agree with that. I
Right,
don't think
but
we
I-
want to piece that out.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want to piece that out, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
and that's what would be decided at the hearing,
Right.
Okay,
not that night.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I
We
think
wouldn't
it's-
confirm that that piece was sold is what I wanted to make sure.
Right. And I think Josh would confirm that anything is sold, I don't think, until the three of us agree that it's an acceptable offer, even if it is in excess of the appraised value.
I didn't know if that's the way to do, because we have to make a motion on that, correct?
To adopt that resolution.
Just need a motion to adopt this resolution. And there's a couple other things in here, just that is statutory, just as the property can't be sold to an individual who's ineligible, which has to do with somebody or their agent or related entity that owes delinquent property taxes. And any trust has to identify the settlor or beneficiaries of the trust. So that's standard stuff. Other than that, yeah, we just need to adopt, the resolution. Let me think about,
All right, do we have a motion to adopt that
I'll make the
resolution?
motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
all right, thanks.
Thanks for explaining that, Mark.
That's resolution 2023-10.
-10.
Well, I agree. I think you're right. I think it's been very well advertised. It's been professionally put together, and I would look for the same tactics to be used the night of the auction. In a very professional way, so. We'll look forward to April 13th, 6 o'clock.
Yep. All right, let me send this down for signature. That's been advertised, so. Send that down. Just a second. The last thing is a bond waiver for the project that's being done down at Red Gold. There's a county road right-of-way there and then also state right-of-way. And as part of the project, since there's county right-of-way involved, they're asking to have the county waive the performance bond and permit fee requirement since it involves county right-of-way. And it's for the Adams County Highway Department. Talking with Brad, I don't have a problem with that, so we just need to approve this bond waiver. So typically when you do if an individual is doing work and it's within the state right-of-way, then they'll require you to get a bond. In this case, since the work is being done within county road right-of-way, the county can say, we don't want to pay a bond. We're a political subdivision. There's no reason for us to pay for a bond and pay for a permit fee. And so they're just asking, and NDOT will accept this, so they're asking us to waive the bond and permit fee since the work's being done in county right-of-way. So that's fine. Any questions on that?
Is that the county line or is that their road?
Yeah, it's county line, 1200 south.
Okay, does Jay County have to do that too? Since it's,
No, I don't think so, since we maintain the road.
okay. I didn't know, because I know that road's split with the county. That was my question.
Okay, motion to approve.
Want me to keep these?
Make that work.
Yep.
All right, motion carries.
And then Stan just needs signed right here and then just print your name, Commissioner. I'll get that to Brad. I think that's it. Do you have anything else, Clayton? I do not.
The one thing we had
Or do you want the two
for
page?
you guys that we discussed with Clayton this morning during the drainage board was adding 2 freeholders to the board of to the drainage board. So I don't know if you have any comments or if you guys want to have any comments, how you want to approach that. But the drainage board promised to bring it up to the Board of Commissioners.
I don't necessarily think you guys need to take any action right now, considering you're awaiting, the list of names, recommendations, surveyor related to those appointments. I would say when you're ready to move on, trying to get one for council for those positions.
Saying that's not.
Yeah, I guess if that's something you guys need to vote on now, so you'd like to move forward with going and ask council if they'd be willing to provide you with a stipend for those two freeholders.
Yeah.
I thought that today, motion for a public hearing, and then just get it on their next agenda to talk about.
If we did that, would we have to wait to change the makeup of the board till the year end, or could we start this year yet?
No, I think you can do it mid-year.
Yeah, I don't, there's.
So it would just be an additional appropriation for that,
Per diems?
budget, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion carries to pursue adding two additional board members to the drainage board and approaching council for an additional appropriation for the stipend for those two members.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd have, you wouldn't get on to April, it'd be May probably. So Tony, that'd need to figure out what that needs to be, and then it would need to go on the May council agenda.
Clayton, what's the sentence, what we need to? What, you want to send how, if there's a certain way we need to put that on? Is it just seeking an additional? Do they need, is that all the council will have to do with that, is just the additional for that?
Yes.
Well, we'll just have to do the calculations.
Yeah, just calculate calculate the increase and then advertise for the additional. And then when the additional comes up, then I'd say one of you make sure you're at the meeting and explain what you're doing.
You know, one of the things we've talked about, I know I've asked is, and I think as we start adding members to the drainage board that are not commissioners, we need to think about, could we get those meetings done once per month versus meeting every other week?
Yeah.
You know, and obviously that impacts the per diem then, that we need to go to council for.
Sure.
You know, if we would skinny those meetings back to once per month, and then if something comes up of an emergency nature that they would need to meet between those meetings, we could always call an emergency meeting. But
Well,
it's
maybe we could address that at the next drainage board.
Yeah,
meeting.
I think we ought to talk about that.
Yeah, and definitely you run that by Mike and, find out, because they may say we need it more often or not, and maybe not. And you can always have a special meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily have to be, you can always call it an emergency meeting, but it may just be a special meeting. If you set 12 meetings a year and special meetings as called.
I think it helps too when you're talking to a private citizen, a freeholder about coming onto that board. My first question is how often do they meet, and where do they meet, and when do they meet?
Right.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, if Mike's okay with that, then. Yeah, that could very well be a good idea. Okay. Shannon?
I just have one quick thing. We have a dispatcher who is retiring in the middle of April, so I would just like permission to go ahead and post and recruit to try to backfill that before she actually leaves.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right,
Thanks very much.
full.
Own that baby end.
All right. See what you guys think. Last year at the State of the County address, the commissioners decided to pay for county, I don't know if it was department heads or if it was county employees, to come to the luncheon.
I don't remember how that was worded. But it would still hold true.
So,
Tony, do we have funds available for
I mean,
that?
unless you change it. It would be out of their own funds. Bree, do you remember how that was worded? Was it department head, with approval of only the state of the county by the commissioner, that would be reimbursed?
Well, I would think it would be just department heads, but I don't know.
It's just the part that too, so we think it's all county employees, so.
and I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Makes sense to me. Support that.
I don't know, maybe department heads and chiefs.
Department
It
heads,
might have been department head and chiefs.
department heads and chief deputies. That way, if a department head can't go, they could send a
Yeah.
chief deputy.
Yeah, I think that.
And it was probably an amazing experience for you.
It was.
It was life changing, really.
Life changing, I don't know, but amazing. Yeah, I
Looking forward.
promise it'll be more amazing this year.
He has visuals.
There will be visual
I
aids.
believe it was good food too.
I can't really remember the food. I was kind of
Usually it's not
entranced
bad.
on the speaker.
It was two brothers, right? Two brothers.
All right, so yeah, I don't know how you guys feel, whatever.
I would say whatever we did last year.
Department heads and
How it
chiefs
was
or
worded, yeah.
Yes.
deputies or. Okay,
I don't know that we need a vote on that since it was already voted on unless you're gonna change something.
I'm not going to.
okay.
All right.
The other thing, and I don't know if it's anything, I mean, certainly nothing we need to take action on, but kind of for Tony's benefit, I know Chuck Clark wanted to come down from Parkview to give a report to us from the community mental health coordinator. And so we need to schedule him in. I don't know if we.
When?
Well, that's what I.
In April is what he said.
In April, but see, I don't know if we want to do it when we got council, that would really extend that meeting. So I'd like to, maybe the week after, maybe.
Week after by 18th. Or the one after that.
But I know we had a JREC meeting or community corrections meeting last night.
Can you do me a favor and email me the name and let's come to the commissioner so that I have it correct, and then, along with that, I know.
Then once you put him on the agenda, I can let him know.
Right. I know the Association of Indiana Counties is urging counties to contact their legislators about being able to add board members, the county adding a board member to the community mental health, so they have more of a say on, I don't know where that's at in legislation currently, but I know they're lobbying for that, so.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised to see that come about to where they would allow a commissioner's appointment to that board, so.
Yeah, just email me that name and.
I
we'll get
told
the
Jeremy last night I didn't want that appointment to displace his spot on the board, and he said he'd be okay with that. So, okay. Anything else from committees or anything that, okay? Anything else from the general public?
I'm going to adjourn.
Second.